The Earnestly Speaking podcast is a show that is founded on free-flowing conversation and may at times venture into mature subjects. Listener discretion is advised.
Yeah, Earnestly Speaking podcast. Let's get it. I'm a giant in New York, in Miami carry heat. So much more in store, my product can flood the street. Opinion Nation Godfather, CEO. Puff in the late 90s, gon' see me blow. Oh, got my hustle on, no imitation of bad. Army of untouchables, Opinion Nation staff. Never an off season, homie, check the numbers. Heart throbbing my own right, supplying southern comfort. Earnestly speaking, my ego is well fed. Earnestly speaking, you're too feeble and no threat. See, I'm like a hurricane, you're a mild breeze. Earnestly speaking, leaving Eli a dynasty. Shake!
Podcast coming to you September 4th. Recording this rather, September 4th, 2025. This is for the Friday show. When I get this podcast, it will be my wife's 30th birthday. I'm not gonna say the number because we don't do that. We don't do that publicly anyway. So my bride will be some of her birthday. Although she hates her birthday. She really does hate her birthday. For personal reasons. I won't get into that, of course, but happy birthday to my wonderful bride, Lauren, who is the love of my life, the reason that I, everything, any positive thing I think of. She is the reason I can function. The reason why I can podcast when I want to. She's the reason why, she created the design for the show. She created the artwork for the show. She is the MVP, really, of Earnestly Speaking Media, when I put it that way. So she is the MVP of this, and I really appreciate her. She is the greatest mother, greatest wife, and you name it, all those superlatives, it all applies. So even though she is not a fan of her birthday, we're going to still love on her and praise on her. So happy birthday to my wife, Lauren, who turns 30 years old. Okay. Anyway, a couple of stories to get to here. And of course, when this podcast drops, obviously, we already have our first NFL game in the rearview mirror because tonight, obviously, of course, on Thursday, tonight is the Eagles and Cowboys. We'll obviously see what happens here. I mean, I imagine the Eagles will win that game, but who knows? I can be surprised. By the way, I have a $100 bet with a friend of mine, and he's a Cowboys fan for the record. We have a bet that the Cowboys will win more than 8.5 games. I said they will win more than 8.5 games. He said they won't. And he's a Cowboys fan. So for me, this is weird because I'm a Giants fan. And the fact I'm even rooting for the Cowboys to win games just to help my wallet tells you that my priorities are misplaced, I guess, right? But $100, right? So shout out to my boy Mario, and hopefully we'll see what happens. Obviously, at the end of the year, I will say now he has an advantage now because I made that bet before the Michael Parsons trade. Just say that. Now that could go either way, but I would say that's still a negative this year for the Cowboys. You lose one of the best players on that side of the ball in the league. That's gotta be a massive negative. But who knows? Maybe the Dallas Cowboys diamond in the rough. Maybe someone steps up. Who knows? I don't know. I mean, for the sake of my wallet, I hope they do win 9 games, miss the playoffs. But I get my money. The Giants hope we have a great year. I don't know if that will happen. Although I think they will be a better team this year. I already stated on this podcast that I think the Giants are going to be one of those frisky teams. Not a playoff team, not a Super Bowl contender and all that, but they're going to be a hard out. That defense on paper, I got to tell you, they do look very intimidating. It looks deep. The key for the Giants this year is do not turn over the football. If you don't turn over the football, you don't put defense in a hole, and you have a chance to win games. It's just that simple. And Russell Wilson, to his credit, has done a good job for the most part. Now, he had a little rough end of the year last year in Pittsburgh, but his career, mostly, he's been able to take care of the football. Also, we'll see when we get to see Jackson Dart make his first start. That all depends on how the Giants season goes. If they're playing great with Russ, there's no reason to make the change, right? But again, long season of us, 17 games. I'm just glad football's back. College football's back. We're 2 weeks into that. NFL's now back, as this weekend. So there's a lot to get to. And as for the NFL, every year they do their top 100 list. Every year, it's a big deal. So rather than go through the whole 100, I'm not going to go through the whole 100. I'm going to give you not mine, but their top 20 list they have entering this season. So I'll go from 20 to 1 here. All right, so at 20, they have Amon-Ra St. Brown from the Lions, receiver. That feels a tad high, but he's really good. 19, Jalen Hurts, Eagles quarterback. That feels high also too, but I understand why he's there. And I'm just by being an Eagles hater, I love Jalen Hurts. So I'm not gonna talk in Rex about that guy. All right, 18, you got Derek Stingley Jr. for the Texans. 17, my boy Dexter Lawrence, one of the best dancers in the league, for the Giants. 16, you got Fred Warner for the Niners, which I agree with. This one here is probably the most controversial. And this is why the title of today's show is what it is. 15, they have Jared Goff, quarterback for the Detroit Lions. Now, I like Jared Goff a lot. I liked him in L.A. I liked him here, obviously now in Detroit. If you watch the quarterbacks documentary series, season 2 on Netflix, he's on there. And, obviously they go through the entire season last year. He is a guy that is so easy to root for. By the way, gorgeous wife that has had a kid recently. The guy is doing good things in Detroit, turn things around. But based on this list, and obviously we'll complete the list in a second, they have him as a top 5 quarterback in the league. Like we know who the 4 is, and we'll get to a second. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, and Joe Burrow. Those are the top 4 in the league. But I am stunned they got Jared Goff top 5. Now, on this show, we did NFL season preview, part 2. We did the ranking quarterbacks. I had Jared Goff at number 11. Now, granted, that was tough because there is absolutely a case for Jared Goff to be top 10, and he might be, but the guys I had ahead of him, I believe, are just a tad better. I also think Jared Goff and what they do in Detroit, I think this year may go a long way of making this argument because they've lost a lot. I mean, they lost both the coordinators. They lost Ben Johnson, of course, was coordinator to Chicago. On the defense side, they lost Aaron Glenn. But if Jared Goff can still maintain this level of play this year and beyond without, despite the changes they've made in Detroit, I do think that a top 10 and maybe even a top 5 consideration is definitely warranted. But I feel like right now this is too high for Jared Goff. And again, I said it as a fan of the kid. I love the kid. I hope Detroit does well this year. I hope they, as long as not the Giants in there, I would like to see Detroit in the Super Bowl at some point. Okay, especially with Jared Goff as quarterback. He's an easy kid to root for. So I push back against the Jared Goff, a top 5 guy. Quite frankly, I don't have him in the top 10, but that's also pulling straws there, of course, too. If you have a top 10, I have no problem with that. But that feels a bit like, that feels like recency bias, in my opinion, if we're being completely honest here. All right, let's just the list here. 14, you got Trey Hendrickson, edge rusher for the Bengals, who signed his new deal. The Bengals, thank God for them, because there's no point of this cancel here because your defense is terrible. You need every piece you need in Cincinnati. You need that guy to be available. Okay. 13, you got Penei Sewell of the Lions as well. Chris Jones at 12 for the Chiefs. Number 11 is T.J. Watt, the guy who I picked to win Defensive Player of the Year this year. Also got new money this past summer. And here's top 10. Top 10. Number 10, Patrick Surtain the second from the Broncos. Great player. Number 9, Justin Jefferson from the Vikings. Number 8, Myles Garrett from the Browns. Number 7, Derrick Henry from the Ravens. Now, it's going to sound a bit sacrilege and a bit egregious, but hear me out here. Derrick Henry was awesome last year. He was definitely number 2 running back in the league behind Saquon Barkley last year. But he is getting older. Look, if you want to put him in the top 20, I have no problem with that. But am I wrong for saying that number 7 feels a little too high? Just because of the age where he's at? Like, there's a lot of recency bias in this thing. Like, he had a phenomenal year. But, a lot of that was also due to who he plays next to. Who a guy's in the top 2 in this list. Lamar Jackson. I look, again, put him top 20, he's fine. Hell, put me in top 15. I got you. But he's getting a little older now. This could be the last great Derrick Henry year we get. You know what I'm saying? And maybe I'm just being a little more apprehensive. Look at the whole totality of the situation. But they clearly heavily use last year's results to make this list. I prefer a 2-year sample. Like a nice, healthy 2-year sample, also projecting what to be. The problem is you project what to be, of course. He is older. The same. All right, number 6, Joe Burrow for the Bengals. No surprise there. Number 5, Patrick Mahomes for the Chiefs. Number 4, Jamar Chase of the Bengals. Number 3, Josh Allen of the Bills. Number 2, Lamar Jackson for the Ravens, of course. Number 1, Saquon Barkley. By the way, what's clear here is that this list agrees with me. When I did my quarterback rankings back a couple weeks ago on the show, my top 3 was in order: Lamar number 1, Josh Allen number 2, Pat Mahomes number 3, and Joe Burrow number 4. So NFL.com agrees with me. Just saying, top 4 order, just like mine. Some people say, "Oh, Pat Mahomes should be number 1," and I get. Look, I'm not going to argue with that. Pat Mahomes is the top 3 all time for me, anyway. But I have Lamar and Josh in the top 2 because their teams ask more of him at this point than Pat Mahomes. Not saying that Pat Mahomes is not asked to do more, but in comparison to the other 2 guys, it's, I won't say it's night and day, but there's definitely a difference there. So, yes, they do agree with me on this list. Again, my only big problem here is that Jared Goff, to me, is way, way too high for me personally. Now, again, if this dude balls out without having Ben Johnson this year, we're having a conversation next year, okay? So, speaking of NFL, NFL Redzone apparently no longer ad-free, no longer commercial-free, which pissed me off. Scott Hansen, of course, the host of NFL Redzone, confirmed the change, stating that the iconic opening slogan has now been modified. Instead of saying 7 hours commercial-free football starts now, he will now say 7 hours of Redzone football starts now. That sucks. This change is a significant departure from the channel's long-standing format, which was a major selling point for fans, especially those involved in fantasy football. The move to full commercial breaks follows an experiment last year where the channel ran split-screen ads, which were not well received by viewers. While Hansen has stated that the commercials would not interrupt key plays or touchdowns, the change has generated a strong backlash for fans who are disappointed that the channel's commercial-free nature is being eliminated. The decision is being made by, quote, business folks, and is part of a larger trend in sports media to increase revenue. People complain about costs and complain all this stuff. I talk a lot on the wrestling podcast, WE doing all these things, making these changes, price of things going up. The only way, guys, you're going to be able to change the direction of this, the only way you're going to be able to impact that change, you have to stop beast. So, on the side, I now have to consider not getting it now, because one of the things that makes Redzone phenomenal is the fact that it's constant. It's 7 hours free, no matter what. You can get into the game. Now, if Scott Hansen says that it's not going to interrupt the gameplay, we'll see that. We'll see how that plays out. I'll get Redzone for the first week or 2, and if I feel like it's a massive departure of what it was before, I may consider canceling it, honestly. Because if I'm going to pay for commercials, I'd rather just get it for free and watch my regular TV. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that this is what sucks too also. The fact that they tested this last year and folks had a negative reaction to it, and now they double down on it, is a problem. Look, I'm a capitalist. I get companies wanting to make money and increase revenue and all that. I'm not against that. But as a consumer, you don't have to feed into that. So if you really are passionate about this situation, about them having to not only charge you $13 a month for Redzone, but also on top of that, you're going to be getting commercials and ads. Folks, you need to speak with your dollars. Speak with your dollars. I keep telling you guys this. You need to speak with your dollars. So we'll see. I'm still going to order it. We'll do a test run for the first couple weeks. Obviously, I can just get out. I'll pay for 1 month, and obviously I'll run it out to the next month. And if I'm not satisfied with the product in terms of commercials, I may have to consider canceling it. And I will use my dollars to speak up. That means simple. Also, Billboard magazine has put out a rumored Super Bowl halftime list, a top 10 list of artists most likely to perform at the Super Bowl halftime show in this year, Super Bowl 61 in Santa Clara, San Francisco, California, you want to call it. Here's a top 10 list, actually. Number 10, Lady Gaga. She's performed before in the past. Number 9, Mariah Carey. That's a surprise, actually, Mariah Carey. I don't know if Mariah Carey would actually, and I love Mariah Carey, but I don't know if she would fit doing the Super Bowl halftime show. But we'll see. But of course, they always put guest spots there and dancers around her. We'll see. Number 8, Justin Bieber, who just put up a new album recently. Not a big fan of his, obviously, but I guess he'll appeal to a young crowd. Number 7, Drake. Now, obviously, last year Kendrick Lamar did it, so it'd be kind of be like a funny that a year later Drake gets it. But Drake's PR right now is still in the toilet. I don't know if that would work. We'll see. Number six, BTS. That's the K-pop band in Japan. They are, some of you guys in America may not know this, but they are huge worldwide. So that's something definitely I can see playing out again for a bigger crowd, for a young crowd, and for an international crowd. Number 5, this one I like to see actually, Green Day. Green Day is a bucket list band for me. I've never seen live. I missed them I think last year or the year before that. But Green Day would fit actually. I feel like Green Day. I feel like also Green Day maybe have performed there one time. I don't know if they were the main act or they were part of a conglomerate of people at the halftime show. But we'll see. Number 4, my personal favorite, who I think should do it for many reasons, not just because I love them, Metallica. Now, Metallica makes more sense for me, not just because I'm a fan. You can say, "Oh, well, of course you're Metallica. You're a fan." No. The reason why Metallica makes sense here is because where the game is played. This team, this band, while technically founded in L.A., their home is San Francisco. Their home base is San Francisco. Metallica HQ San Francisco. This 83 when they moved to San Francisco in 83 to hire Cliff Burton, that was their home. They never acknowledged L.A. They have a thing that says L.A. sucks. They hated L.A. San Fran was their home base, and given that the game is played in San Francisco this coming February, it would make the most sense. Plus, also on top of that, it would be on the year of their 45th year anniversary of being a band. So it does make sense in terms of all the marks and whatnot. But again, is there look, the audience, Metallica has a huge audience, obviously, but is there desire for it? Personally, I like to see it, number 1. And if anything, I like to see a rock band. I've seen hip-hop artists already too many times. I've seen, and I love hip-hop, obviously, you know that. But can we get some diversity now? We've gotten pop artists and rap artists for the last like 10, 15 years now. Can we get a rock band here, please? Can we get a rock band? Please and thank you. All right, number 3, Post Malone. I can see that happening too. Well, Post Malone's huge. He was just here in South Florida a couple months ago. He has a big audience. Number 2, Jay-Z. Is he put on any records now? I mean, didn't he retire? Oh no, didn't Jay-Z retire? I mean, it would be kind of self-serving for Jay-Z to do it because he technically is in charge of the committee who picks the artists for the Super Bowl. But of course, number one is definitely is the favorite, Taylor Swift. I saw that Roger Goodell commented on the possibility of her doing it, and it would make sense. I wouldn't be mad about it because if you're looking at business and Taylor Swift is the biggest artist on the planet right now, it would make sense. But at the same time, do I want to see it? Not really. I mean, not really. I'd rather see Metallica. Look, I'll see Taylor Swift the year after. But that was Billboard's list, power rankings list of most likely to play. Again, you already know how I feel. If I had to put like my top 3 who I want to see play for next year, I go Metallica number 1, I'll go Green Day number 2, and number 3 I would probably, you know what? Just for the sake of, I'll go Mariah. Fuck it, I'll go Mariah Carey. My top 3. Okay, so yesterday I was hanging out with the family before last night, and my kid was doing homework, and God, I come to a place now where I just hate homework. Obviously the kid, I hated it, of course, but I think I hate it more as an adult now because I when you think with an adult mind and you have a lot more a broader perspective of life, especially my 40s. You start thinking like, okay, so my kids are going to school 7-8 hours a day, right? And they're learning, right? They come home, and then you have to fit in family time. You got to fit in, me time, dinner, you name it. And depending how you raise your kids and how you, in my case, my kids' bedtime is 8:00. Okay, my kids come home from school actually early for middle school and elementary school at 2:00. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So technically they have a lot more time, but they only have 6 hours. And yet I don't understand why why we still in an era that we're much more progressive and much more forward thinking, why is homework still a thing? I'm at a place now where I don't believe in homework. I was more saying I don't believe in homework, but why is homework if these kids are getting a lot of homework every day, why are we then why do they go to school for? Why do they go to school for 6-7 hours? Like, isn't the point of going to school to learn, and then when you're home, you're here to spend time with family, do activities. If you do after school sports, like, where are you gonna find the time to do that? And guess what? Even Kim Kardashian agrees with me. She was actually on the a live stream with Kai Cenat, Mafiathon 3, whatever you call it, and she explained her reasoning actually, which made a lot of sense. She said that her time commitment. She argues that kids are in school for 8 hours a day, which she believes is sufficient for their academic work. Also, need for balance. Kardashian says that when children are home, they need time for activities like sports, family time, and having a life. Totally agree with you. Work should be in school. She believes that assignments and schoolwork should be completed in the classroom, sending with the guidance of teachers. She clarified her position by stating that students should definitely do the work, but that the work itself should be contained within the school day. Her comments have generated a mixed reaction, with some people agreeing that homework can be a necessary burden and others arguing it's part of the learning process. I'm not saying that you should eliminate homework, but I think you should have minimal, at the very least, minimal homework for the kids. Because, again, we talk about balance with children. We talk about how balance is important. Having them go to school 5 days a week, okay? Bombarding them with work over and over again is not balance, okay? They still need 8 hours of sleep. They still need hours time to spend family, dinner, sports, you name it. So I'm with Kim Kardashian. I agree. I've actually felt this way for years. Like, I remember, it's funny when you're a parent, your perspective changes, obviously. But yeah, I think it's ridiculous that homework is still a thing now. Like, in 2025, can we get rid of it, please? Can we please get rid of it? Thank you. You know. Anyway, we got another celebrity feud going on. Roger Waters, if you guys know who he is, he's the co-founder of Pink Floyd, made some disparaging remarks about Ozzy Osbourne, who recently passed away 2 months ago. Roger Waters, during the interview, made some disparaging remarks about the late Ozzy Osbourne. His remarks came during the podcast appearance where he discussed how pop culture figures can be used to distract the public from important political issues. Waters described Osbourne's TV appearances as, quote, idiocy and nonsense, and stated that he couldn't give a fuck about Black Sabbath's music, claiming he never cared about the band. He also referenced the infamous bat biting incident, and when corrected that it was a bat and not a chicken, he exclaimed that it was even worse. Now, these comments have drawn criticism, particularly from Ozzy's family. His son, Jack Osbourne, publicly responded on social media, calling Waters, quote, a pathetic and out of touch, and stating that, quote, my father always thought you were a cunt. Thanks for proving him right. Unquote. There's an old saying that if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. So Roger Waters can't get mad at Jack Osbourne or anyone for that matter for clapping back at him. Okay, if you can say what you want, I'm a free speech guy, but it doesn't mean that I can't come back at you and come twice as hard on you. And to be honest with you, Jack Osbourne's reply was actually great. And here's the thing: Roger Waters has every right to feel how he feels. Okay, he has every right to his opinion. Okay, and quite frankly, to be honest with you, I kind of respect it in the sense that he is stating his opinion and doesn't give a shit. And I think he knew. I think Waters knew that he would get blowback for this. I think he knew that. He doesn't care, and I rather people be their authentic selves. Okay, you know, Jack saying that his dad always told him he was a CUNT. And you know what? Maybe he is a CUNT. Now, I'm not a Pink Floyd fan. Never have been. Never really gotten to him, to be honest with you, though. Almost I try one of these days. I'll probably do a deep dive on Pink Floyd. But you know, I respect people who are authentic, but at the same time, good dude. If you got nothing nice to say, just say anything at all. You know what I mean? Just say nothing. You know. Finally, one last thing to get out of here. You guys know I've been kind of like, since the election last year, I've been kind of like, politics on the show has been kind of like, you know, we talk politics on this podcast, and you know, if I have Mark on the show once in a while, certain guests, I'll we'll talk politics. But the last year, I've really taken a step back, not just on the show, but even in my personal life. Like I've stopped following some of the the day to day anyway on the political programming I would normally watch, especially during election season. But you'll get stories here and there that'll seep through that you probably keep an eye on. So apparently, there's a lot of rumors that the president, Donald Trump, is in bad health. And this comes from a period of several days without him making public appearances, including false claims of his death. It's circulated on social media, which I haven't really seen much of that until recently. Something to do with his hand. Trump did dismiss rumors saying fake news, obviously. The speculation was fueled by a combination of factors, including his absence in the public eye and recent photos showing a bruised hand and swollen ankles. In response, the White House has previously provided some details about his health. Officials stated that the hand bruising is from a frequent handshaking and aspirin use, and the swollen ankles are a result of chronic venous insufficiency, a common and benign condition. Despite the White House and Trump's personal position, Dr. Sean Barbella, stating that the president is in excellent health and that he passed a physical and cognitive assessment, the rumors persist, particularly on social media. Trump himself addressed the speculations, joking about the claims and stating that he was very active over the holiday weekend. I'm getting deja vu, guys. I'm getting deja vu. Because then we go over this shit with Joe Biden. For different things, of course, though. With him stuttering and fumbling and all that stuff. And here's what I say. I've always been on the side of, you need to be transparent about your health. I was very critical of Joe Biden and administration for what they did. People who obviously disingenuous nature, like no Snowy Jake Tapper wrote a book on this after the election, saying things that he was told that he had to keep hush hush on things. But he's part of the problem because if you did the right things as a journalist, you should be honest as a journalist. So the same rule applies to Donald Trump. If there's an issue health wise, we need to know as a public. We do. So I'm not a hypocrite about this kind of stuff on both ends. I'm critical of Joe Biden. Now, I have not seen anything in Trump's behavior in terms of him being clear, publicly anyway, that made me think that he's in bad health right now. I mean, obviously the stuff in the hand is definitely a little, I would say, concerning. But I haven't seen, the stumbling and fumbling that Biden did just yet. But I'm always open to hearing that conversation. And we'll see. Like you want to wish the president well. Obviously, he's a leader of the country, whether you vote for him or not. But I don't know. I'm getting deja vu. You know what I'm saying? And it's just funny how things work out in the end. Like, okay, the people who are critical of Joe Biden, and the lack of transparency involving his health, are you going to hold the president to the same fire if there is some much more speculation and proof that there is something there? If there's there. So that's all I want to say about that. Well, we'll keep following the story moving forward. But anyway, that is it for me for the Friday podcast here. Dated September 5th, 2025. Again, happy birthday to my wonderful bride, Lauren. I love you so much and our family. Again, I am on X at EJ Christian 7. Of course, follow the podcast on any podcast catcher, and especially on the video side, on YouTube, Earnestly Podcast, on YouTube at Earnestly Pod, or of course, clips of the show and TikTok at Earnestly Pod. Same name as always, as well on Instagram as well. Until the next episode, we will talk to you guys soon. I love you guys. Take care. Enjoy football weekend. Later.